Hi, welcome to my dining room. My name is Lauren. I am one half of what is Brownings Flower Truck. And if you are watching this, it means either you or someone who loves you very much purchased one of the DIY wreath kits. So thank you so much for being here. I have my lovely neighbor Kristen and her son behind the camera assisting with teaching you how to make a wreath today. So thank you for being part of our first ever DIY workshop. A little bit about Brownings. We have a vintage flower truck that we sell cut flowers from, some from our farm, some from other local farms, and some wholesale. We also do workshops, our wreath workshops or our new DIY, and we do floral workshops, and then we also offer wedding services. Something new this year that I haven't put out yet, so you are privy to, is that we will have workshops hosted on our farm. We've been working very hard behind the scenes expanding our raised bed gardens, so we look forward to that, so please keep an eye out if you are interested. So if you did partake in the hot cocoa kit add-on from Set the Bar, grab it. We're gonna share a glass.
Cheers.
Cheers. I'm gonna put peppermint in mine and maybe some marshmallows. What do you want?
I will go with the marshmallows.
I might even put some peppermint schnapps. Sounds really good.
Delicious.
So if you did partake in the DIY deal kit, Set the Bar, just to give them a shout out, I love this company. Their hot cocoa mix I purchased last year, which is why I reached out to them to partner for our wreath kits, because how perfect to have a cup of cocoa together with us while you're making a wreath. But their ingredients are whole milk powder, pure cane sugar, Dutch pressed cocoa, and malt powder, ground white chocolate powder, pink Himalayan salt, and espresso powder.
Very smooth.
Yeah.
It's rich and smooth.
It's good. I loved it last year.
Delicious.
And they actually hand delivered it to me while I was teaching another wreath workshop. So I just really like that company. So I hope you enjoy with us. So good. Okay. So what you see here, as well as an entire 5-gallon bucket of freshly harvested cedar right from our farm, is what you have in your wreath kit. So you have a wreath form, 18 inches, paddle wire, more than enough greenery. You should probably only need to use 1/2 to 3/4 of what I supply you with. And then you'll also have a gorgeous velvet ribbon. So the only thing that you're gonna need to get started is I urge you to please put on some long sleeves and then grab some gloves, because cedar can be very unforgiving. I'm quite allergic to it, so I will just have red bumps on my arms, and I don't want that to happen to anybody else if you have sensitive skin. And then you just need some sharp garden shears, some pruners. And that's it, and we can get started. So if you are part of a DIY, it means that you want to make this in the future. So I want to make sure that I could go through where you get everything. So this is an 18-inch wreath form. You can go larger or smaller. The way that we make the wreath is going to be the same. And you can get these at the dollar store, Walmart, Michael's, the craft store, Hobby Lobby, any kind of craft store. I think at Walmart they're like around $3, so pretty inexpensive. And then the paddle wire you can get on Amazon or at Walmart as well. Yeah. And then, of course, typical garden shears. And that should be it. That's really all you need. And I actually don't even use that much wire, so you will have a ton of paddle wire. The way that we're going to do it is kind of a weaving technique.
I've not done this before.
Yeah, so I'm excited. Yep. So Kristen is here also to do it and ask any questions, because what questions she has is probably what you might have. So
I'll do my best.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're going to don our gloves. And we have 5 dogs, so they very well may be throughout the video. And it's okay. Welcome to our home. Merry Christmas. So I'm going to set this greenery right here on the table. We can move this aside.
right, we'll just share from this one.
Yeah,
For room. Okay.
that works. So pretty much every branch should be roughly the same size, right? About the length of your arm. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna start in this top ring. And the most important thing is these lines of demarcation. I don't like the way that it's held together is what I'm gonna focus on during the initial start of making this wreath. So I'm going to take the stem, I'm gonna go through the back side, and then I'm gonna pull the stem out the front and then just rest it on the ridge. You do not have to be gentle with this. These can break, the wire can break. It will be okay, I promise. It's going to make a superb and very secure wreath. The second thing that you want to keep in mind is that you want to make sure that your branches are all going the same direction. So I went ahead and did that technique where I went behind this line and then back through. It rests on that top ridge. I'm gonna go ahead and do the exact same thing with another branch. So I'm gonna start where I ended. I'm gonna go back behind. Is this where you want? Okay, I'm gonna go back behind, and then I'm gonna take that branch, pull it through to rest it. Just like that. That is exactly what it should look like. Do not worry about how your branches look as you're making the base of this, okay? I know I've taught enough people, I've taught hundreds of people how to make a wreath.
Because this looks great.
And I tell them, I say, you must trust the process. Your wreath is going to end up looking like this. I don't know if you got it. So at the end of all of this, your wreath is going to be big and ethereal and classic, and it will weather any storm. But you just have to trust me along the way. We're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna grab this long branch. We're gonna start where we ended off. We're gonna go back behind the wire, that line that connects all three, pull it through, and it will rest just like that. Can you see that? And let me know if you want me to turn it.
We're only working on that top ring.
Yep.
Okay.
Just the top ring. Good question. So we're gonna work our way through this. So I'm gonna do the same technique all throughout the top ring. And this will work with the smaller branches as well. Oops, sorry. Job hazard.
Should we alternate between the bigger and the smaller, or just keep with the bigger on the outside? Does it matter?
Nope.
Okay.
It's whichever one you grab. It won't matter in the end. And we have a couple tests to make sure that you were doing it right the whole time.
Oh no. Oh no.
Pop quiz.
It seems like the bigger branches nestle in nicer.
Yeah. The smaller ones are great for fillers. The bigger ones are good to get started with, but if you grab a smaller branch and throw it in, it won't matter in the end.
Oh, see, I have a loose one. This one didn't want to stay.
That's okay. That's okay. So if you have a loose branch, let's see, let's start with this one.
Was a smaller one.
So a loose branch can be rectified by simply taking what you already have. Can you see that okay? And then I'm just gonna take this back piece and I'm going to bend it exactly how I want it to go.
Gotcha.
Just like that.
Because they're pretty pliable still.
Yes.
All right.
So that should work for yours as well.
Tucker.
Tucker's very vocal.
Okay.
How you feeling? Good?
I think I need one more. This one is.
Yeah, I'd say so. When you are finished with the first circle, it should look like this. Can you see that okay? Okay, perfect. And obviously this looks nothing like a wreath. Again, I just tell people throughout my class, you gotta trust the process. And then, so if you're having any issues with...
I have some issues.
Okay, so we have a couple things where our branches aren't necessarily staying where you want them to go. And so the way that you can fix that is by simply pulling the branch further through. And that way some of these smaller branches actually catch, and that'll keep it in line. So we want to pull about maybe halfway down the branch if we have one that's unruly.
That's what I didn't do well.
And then usually that fluffy stuff will just keep it in place.
Perfect. Okay.
Is that working?
Yep, I think I just didn't pull them through far enough.
That's okay.
All right.
I should have
Yep,
specified.
that makes a big difference.
Perfect. And then from here, we're gonna do the exact same thing in the same direction. We don't wanna go the opposite of the way our branches are. With the candle.
You asked if I was okay with this, and I was, but I didn't mean to set your house up.
Oh, that's okay. I know the ambiance is set, but it might be a fire hazard in the meantime. And we can keep this stuff, Gail, seriously, it's okay. So we want to make sure we're in the same direction. Watch your candles. And we're going to start on the second ring down, so the middle ring. So I'm just basically going to do the exact same thing. Just pick a point to start, go through that middle ring, pull it through about halfway, go behind that line, and then rest that. Rather than our first branches were resting on the top ring, the bottom of these new branches are going to rest across the top of what we just made. Does that make
I
sense?
think so.
Okay,
Like that.
I'll show you.
And it's nesting tighter because it is the second row.
It will get a lot tighter as it goes through. That initial ring is a little bit challenging, but if you do pull it halfway through, it should work okay. So just keep track of like how you're going around where you started, and then pull it through. Also, the beautiful thing about if you're part of the DIY group, if you have a specific question that I did not answer in this video, just send me a message and I will video chat you, I will write to you, whatever you need to walk you through the process. But it's really fun to do with friends. Put on some Christmas music, wear your matching jammies, spike your cocoa. Like it's a lot of fun, yeah. So a lot of people, actually most people in our workshops just really enjoy their time. It always comes with cocktails and hors d'oeuvres, but every now and then we get that creative person that just wants to make sure that it's perfect. And I always tell them, this is your first time ever making a wreath, so give yourself some grace. I will do the best that I can to teach you, and then you can practice at home. The whole point of DIY is so that you can do it again. So if you get frustrated because your end result doesn't look like this, it's okay. We're going to teach you how to make it all your own.
It is easier on the second ring once you get going.
Good. Kale, do you want to zoom in on the second one? I know it's hard to see. Let me move these branches aside just so we can show some table space. That's okay. That's a good point. If you notice, I
just haven't been able to get it.
Yeah, I will end up making the majority of my Christmas wreaths without really ever cutting anything and without using any wire. It's just because of this weaving technique. It just makes it work really well. So just let me know when you want to zoom in, and I want to show kind of this area right here. Okay? So this is my top part. I'm going through that middle ring, and then I'm going back behind that line, and then I'm resting that branch just right along where the other ones are on the top ring. Does that make sense? Okay, perfect. Eventually, This will get to the point where you kind of have to do it more by feel than by sight because it's going to get really tightly woven together. So, and it's kind of like a braid in that it's a repetitive motion around and around. I think I can probably do these with my eyes closed now. I've made so many.
Oh wow, yeah. It is a little bit of a technique to get started.
Yeah. Oops. If you pull it too far, just pull it all the way through. Start over with that branch. Okay. So I should be done pretty much with my second loop. And this is what it's looking like so far. So if this is similar to what yours looks like, then you'll be all right. Should be right on target.
Oh, so it is a good idea to maybe hold it up every once in a while.
Yeah.
To see if one of them is coming loose.
And I think I'm gonna move
Which I
again
am.
just
I'm
because
dangerous here with mine.
I bumped it too. Make sure you have a big enough table if you're lighting candles.
But setting the ambiance is important.
Yes, it really is.
Candles are nice.
We should have some Christmas music playing in the background. Yeah, it is an excellent idea to, when you're looking down at a table, it's always going to look fuller. Sorry, it's a little smoky. It's always going to look fuller than when you pick it up. A lot of times I'll actually hold the wreath form the entire time, so I'll probably show you how that works. So if you're done with the second ring, then we're going to go ahead and just work on the third one, and we're going to do the same technique. We want to make sure our branches are going that same direction that we started with. That can confuse people sometimes. If your wreath isn't looking the way that it's supposed to, that could be why. Make sure all your branches are facing the same direction. I'm going to get started on the third ring.
Now, do you move to smaller branches for the inner ring deliberately, or are you still just picking random sizes?
Just random sizes. Okay. I find that if you don't worry too much about the sizes, that's kind of what creates
that more natural.
This. Yes. So some are going to be much longer. It's going to be thicker in areas, and I personally really like that. I will show you a way, if you want something that's more refined, how to tune this down a little bit. But most people end up doing this, and if you want big wreath, this is the way that you want to do it. But if you want something that looks a little thicker and is more refined, it's easy to do. All you need is some wire. Do you have any other questions?
Not yet.
Okay.
I'm noticing you definitely just have that skill with experience of making those twigs braid together.
No, that's
so
okay.
It does maybe take a little bit of tucking in and going back. I think I have it good, and I pick it up and it's a little loose, but that's okay. They're easy to, well, especially on this inner ring, there's more to tuck into.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And we have our couple tests coming up too that will determine, how much else we need to add or how we need to add it and things of that sort. So now I'm still just going around that inner ring. Also, keep in mind, I've taught so many workshops. I've taught hundreds of people how to make this. Usually a workshop lasts 2 hours, but when I make a wreath, it takes me 15 minutes. It's because I've made hundreds of them. So again, if you like arts and crafts, don't ever get frustrated because it's all about the process of learning. And the whole point of doing these DIY things is so you can learn and perfect your own craft and then do it for seasons to come. This is a really easy gift to give people if you know how to make it. So I would encourage you to continue to make these each season.
I'll get some more out of my bucket.
Okay. And you let me know when you think you're done with that inner ring. It doesn't have to be completely full yet.
Okay, yeah, I'm not quite done. I'm moving a little slow.
No, you're okay.
Let's see.
There is no rush. I've got a needle in my slipper.
You will probably have more than that one.
I know. It smells so good in the house.
Yes, it just smells like the holidays with the natural cedar.
I will end up putting one of these on every window in my home. I will put them on the inside of my windows, like in our guest bedroom. I'll put them on these big, beautiful windows on the inside, and it just smells so good for months. I'll hang it usually on the wall above my couch, and then I'll also hang it outside. Cedar is what I love to work with, even though it can cause, you know, some skin irritation. It stays green all season long, and it smells all season long. It truly still retains its smell after 2 months, and so that's why I love using it, and I won't stray from it.
So we are blessed with, we can do it ourselves because on our properties we have lots of cedar trees
Yes.
to harvest from. So how could somebody, if they want to make a second one, go about doing this naturally?
So
I'm
if-
getting busted at the park for
Yeah.
trimming trees where they shouldn't trim trees.
So if you want to make a cedar tree, or if you want to make a wreath, and you know where there's cedar, a lot of woods will have cedar, state parks, things like that, neighbors' houses, also roadsides. You can pull your car off on the side of the road, and there is probably a ton of cedar and a ton of things to forage from, and you can use the cedar as the base, and then we'll go over
Just
what
take
else
these
you
out.
can add. Yeah, just take these and a 5-gallon bucket, and you know, grab a branch that's about the length of your arm and cut it. You're not actually going to really damage the cedar because a lot of things thrive after being pruned.
Yep.
So don't worry about cutting too much, and there's a lot of free stuff once you kind of train your mind to start searching, like, oh, there's a cedar tree, or oh, there's a magnolia, or there's some holly, and natural foraging can create some really beautiful tablescapes and all kinds of things. So
I'm ready to test.
are you ready to test? Okay.
I might have some repairing to do, but I'm ready.
So our first test is what you pointed out. What you're going to want to do is you're going to lift up your wreath, and you're going to want to hold it up. If you have a wreath stand, it's even better. Hold it up to the light, to a window, whatever it may be, and start looking for where there's a lot of gaps and holes. So we want to make sure that we are filling in those holes. So, can you see my wreath okay? Right here, I can see my wire. My number one thing is I want to make sure that I can't see any wire. And then I would say, like, this is a bit of a gap. It really helps if you put it up against the sun, because then it'll shine through the wreath, I guess. Does that help? So now I can really see where my gaps are, and I'm going to take the branches that I have left over, and I'm going to start weaving them through. What about you? How does it look?
Yep, I can tell I need to fill in over here. I'm just missing some there. I can see the wire through here.
Yep, perfect.
So
So we're gonna get to that, and we're gonna use the exact same technique, the weaving technique. We're gonna make sure that our branches are the same direction. But at this point, you have enough of a base built up that there's not necessarily a rhyme or reason. You don't have to pay attention to what ring you're fitting it into. Just go for that gap, go for where you see that wire, and then I don't ever look at the back side of my wreath. Now that I have so many branches, can you see my glove okay? I'm gonna take it, I'm gonna pull it halfway through, I'm gonna bend it. You see how pliable this is? And I'm just gonna stick it in anywhere. That's it. That is the technique. It is so simple. Kristen, I'll show you, which I think you're probably already doing, but
I was listening to you, so.
I'm gonna take this halfway through, bend it, shove it in
Oh,
anywhere.
wow. Okay,
Just like
that was
that.
faster. Okay.
Super easy. You don't have to pay attention at all to where it's going.
All right.
Now you just get to fill in. And they're so pliable, they're so bendable that it's just really easy to kind of pull and tuck. Pull and tuck, that's a good technique.
There you go.
Pull and tuck. We'll coin that.
Which means to that point though, then I guess if you're gonna make your own later, if you harvest it, you wanna make the wreath fairly soon so they are still pliable.
Yeah. The good thing is if, you know, if you harvest cedar and you are a busy mom or whatever it may be, and it's sitting in water in the garage for a week, the cedar is going to be okay. It's got a long life to it, so it should still be pliable even after that amount of time. And if your branch, here, I'm going to purposely make it break. I'm going to go back here. Can you see that? I'm going to break it. That's okay. You still do the same thing. You just tuck it in. It'll be totally okay.
Okay, so I think where I had problems was I just wasn't pulling it through enough.
Okay, so we need that 50% rule.
Yep.
It also makes the kind of the true base of the wreath fluffier if you pull it more halfway through, and that's my fault. I should have specified.
That's why we're doing this.
That's why we're doing this. Welcome to my dining room. Welcome to my TED Talk. We are a pretty new business, so Brownings has only been in business for a couple of years. So all of this is new, and we do remain professional, but I wouldn't say we're necessarily formal. We have dogs laying at our feet. I've got my slippers on, and that's how we roll.
You're
And
authentic.
Yeah, I don't think the world has time for anything else.
That's good. Alright.
Okay, so when you feel like, see, look at, I am manhandling this. Well, I'm woman handling it. That's what I'm doing. All right, I'm gonna tuck this in. You can be aggressive with these branches. Sorry, I'm dropping
Just
stuff.
wire.
Okay, so when you feel like you have filled in those gaps,
Oh, I like it.
hold it up again. Yeah, it's looking really good. Where is that? Oh, it's right there. So I still have a few, just a little bit. Like I would say, I need to fill in maybe right there.
You like it full.
Yeah, I do.
Fuller.
Use it all, right? Like if I mean, you definitely can. So if you have any more gaps, go ahead and fill those in now. You know what? Let's do a bonus. If you have branches left over, which you will, because I give you more than enough, I'm gonna show you how to make a swag.
Nice.
There you go.
Without having a wreath form.
You don't need it.
Okay.
We'll just do it with whatever branches you have left over. I am just now thinking of this, and then that's perfect.
I do not
That's
know how to
even
make
better. A swag for your door, a wreath for your wall. I highly encourage having the wreaths inside because they smell so good. I did learn recently that the one downfall to cedar is that the needles will dry and they will fall. There are a couple ways to prevent this. One, if you can remember, fill a spray bottle and just spritz it with water to keep it hydrated. The other thing you can do is get a Mod Podge spray. They're like $6 at Walmart, just the clear Mod Podge. And when you're finished with your wreath, spray the top, let it dry. Flip it over, spray the back, let it dry. Do that one more time, and it will retain the color, it will retain the moisture, and you shouldn't have as many issues with needles falling. So, all right, ready to check it out again? I think that's looking pretty good. You want to hold it up? All right. Let's see. Yeah, that looks great. That's nice and full.
Do you still see?
See, I love how there's like long branches hanging and shorter. Are you ready for the second test?
Yes.
This is the one that makes everyone nervous, so I'm forewarning you, but it is a really important. So I want to make sure that you do this to the full vigor that I'm asking you to do, and it is the shake test. Okay. So we're gonna take our wreath, we're gonna hold it out, And don't grip it too tightly, like kind of grip it loosely.
I was holding it together.
No, don't hold it together.
Okay.
Don't cheat on the shake test.
Okay.
And shake vigorously. If anything falls out, then you know where your branches are loose and where to fix. This is our winter storm. We are gonna have high winds. And if they don't fall out, you did a phenomenal job with your weaving technique. It seems monotonous to go around and around and around, but that is how you make an indestructible wreath.
Nice.
So, wonderful. Now, before I teach you how to make a swag, as an extra bonus, you have a beautiful wreath. It has passed the shake test, it has passed the see-through test, and you are ready to hang it on your door. Your wreath came with a quintessential red velvet ribbon that you can tie around it. But I do want to show you a few other things that I would recommend on how to make it your own. So I'm going to go grab that bowl. Oh, looks so good.
Although
You did a great job.
That was fun.
Yeah.
I had never done that.
And, you know, you did it like pretty quickly too.
I was trying to keep up with you.
Kristen's very good at crafts. So what I would now recommend, I love to keep my wreaths classic, but I have a very natural style, I would say. But there's a lot of people who take our workshops and they love brightly colored bows or themed bows. You can go get very inexpensive ribbon. You can get burlap. You can get a number of things to create your own bows. What I love to do is I dehydrate. I can move this over for you. So these are dehydrated apples. This is a pine cone from my tree, just to prove the point. Obviously, you can get many others as you forage. Grab cinnamon sticks from the spice aisle. These are super inexpensive berries that are attached to a wire. These are dehydrated oranges, or you can even do grapefruit, which is even larger. Lemons, limes. These are dehydrated pears. And so I love to add this stuff to my wreath. You can ask a neighbor, or you can go forage for magnolia, holly, English ivy, anything evergreen. You can put dried grasses in here. You can do a number of things. And you have this paddle wire that I gave you that you may not have even needed to use. This is brand new. So all you have to do, if you want to dehydrate fruit and you don't have a dehydrator, take your garden shears. And I'm going to show you this technique because it goes for anything that you want to put on your wreath. The fruit, I would probably, I don't know if you want to do a close-up, but just let me know if you can see my hands. Tuck. He's very tired. Good. Okay, so I'll just take the wire and I'll just poke right through the flesh. Okay. And then I'll just take a branch. I'll wait for you to come. Good. Okay. And then this is a little long, but basically I take, let me try and show you there. I know it's green on green. Can you see that okay? Okay, so everything you want to attach, you want to do it with a bread tie twist. So you're going to pull it and just pull and twist and pull and twist just like you would with a bread tie. And then obviously you can cut the tail ends of your wire. These would be shorter, but I don't even worry about it. Just tuck it. And that is how something is going to stay. If you do the wrap method, things just tend to fall apart. Same thing with these berries, everything else. Another thing you can use, if you can find it, I think you can get it on Amazon, is Oasis floral glue. This stuff is pretty much indestructible, so you can take, your glue, your cinnamon sticks, or anything you want to do. When you open this, be careful because it comes out really,
yeah,
it comes out really fast. But just a little bit of floral glue, placing it wherever you want, hold it there for a little bit. It's gonna take a little longer than maybe like hot glue, but then once it's there, it's staying. Oasis floral glue is phenomenal. So this is where I encourage you to go harvest, go forage, go steal from your neighbor's yard at night, grab whatever you want to do for your wreath and make it your very own.
I can steal from my neighbors.
Yeah, you can see. You can come next door. The other thing that I want to note is if you are doing this before Thanksgiving, because we are doing delivery on November 20th, it is very easy to take this and let me grab some dried grasses really quick. Hi, Topper. My sweet baby. So, I can stick with this harvest theme. I can dehydrate this stuff and oh, that's what I was saying. If you don't have a dehydrator, you can do it in the oven on a low temperature. And so I can stick with that theme of doing fruits and things. I can even put a whole apple in this. I mean, you can get really creative. And if you're doing it to want to decorate before Thanksgiving, but you think it's too early for Christmas stuff, grab some of the red maple leaves, grab some dried leaves, grab dead leaves, and start tucking in. You're gonna use that same technique that I taught you or use the glue, but you can easily, like this is dried wheat, dried lavender. I mean, you can quickly see how this could become something lovely and feasible for Thanksgiving for those people who think it's too early to decorate for Christmas. Do that. Remove it, add something red.
Add red for Christmas, yeah.
Yeah, or just leave it completely plain, which is what I do. I usually do a green or red velvet ribbon, and that's all I do. I keep it very simple. So all that aside, I hope that I answered all the questions.
I would recommend for me and for probably people watching, because this can be very challenging, how do you tie the bow on?
Oh, okay.
Because that is sometimes very challenging to make it not look like you tied your 3-year-old or 2-year-old's tennis shoes.
That is
you want
true.
It to look classic.
That is true. So I will show you. I will say, I do tell my workshop participants that the reason why I do not include that big, thick satin ribbon is because I don't know how to do those fancy bows. And the only way that I know how to do them is by cheating. I basically cut it and hot glue it on itself. It ends up looking really good. But, you know, I really, when it comes to even bridal bouquets, I'm very simple with just a long trailing ribbon and a knot. But I can teach you the way to make kind of a nicer knot with these. So let me set this aside. Don't you love crafting tables? Okay. It's so pokey. All right. So I'm going to take this ribbon, decide, let's see, you know, where, okay, so something else I'd recommend. This is kind of, that looks kind of symmetrical. We like asymmetry. It's more appealing to the eye. So I'm actually going to take the longest part of my wreath and do that part down. And if I want to do my kind of shorter ribbon, I might just do it slightly off center for the ribbon. So like this long branch might be slightly off center, or you can go all the way down. But it seems to look better that way. So I'm going to lay this on the table. Now that I've determined how it's going to hang on my wall or my door or my window. So I'll take my velvet side down, wrap behind. I should have cut a little bit of a longer piece. Actually, let's do that. Do you mind handing me the ribbon? And then I think I'll need some scissors. We need a longer piece than this. You guys are gonna get a longer piece than this, don't worry. Thank you. So, that's much better. Okay, you should have ribbon scissors. Do as I say, not as I do. All right, so I'm gonna take this long, gorgeous piece and go around the back, velvet side down, pull it halfway, and do that simple simple knot where you tuck it through, but being very cautious to pull gently to not tangle up the ribbon. And then from here, can you see that okay? Okay. So I'm gonna make this cross like that traditional ribbon that you see, I guess, what is, like the different ribbons that represent breast cancer awareness, like those different color ribbons, like that traditional shape. Can you see that here, that shape? It's a little upside down. And then I'm gonna go underneath, using my fingers to keep the ribbon flat while doing so, and then gently pull it through. And then move the tails on top of each other. So it just creates kind of like more of a nice knot
For
that
more
you
of
would
a natural
see.
farmhouse wreath.
Yeah.
You want the bow to take over.
Right.
You want it to be a nice touch.
Oh, you probably wanted to actually tie
that's
a bow.
what I
really?
wanted to
Okay.
see that, how
Because
you were
this
gonna
is
tie that.
that's what I would do.
Because I like how you have it on that one.
So
Nice.
then I'm gonna take this. I'm gonna make sure that both of these ends are cut at an angle. I actually don't mind that the ribbon is uneven. Again, it's actually more appealing and it looks more high-end when things are not symmetrical. I've actually learned this from a woman with 20 years of experience in floristry who does $100,000 floral budget weddings. Like, you want things to look like they had no intention of how you placed it. So I have my longer branches out to the side, and that's it. That's our Christmas wreath.
Beautiful.
I hope you enjoyed following along. This was so much fun. I love teaching. I love making wreaths. And are we still good on time and battery? Okay, I'm gonna teach you how to make a swag. Why not? So let's move this aside. You can just throw it on the floor. So you should have more than enough material left over.
Do you want to just use the whole table?
Yeah, we can do that. Or do you want to make one with me?
No, we'll watch you do
Okay.
it.
I'm gonna put my gloves back on. So it's really, really easy to make a swag. You will need your wire, but not very much of it. So again, you can forage all different kinds of greenery if you want to add to this, if you don't want to just do cedar. And it's actually really quite nice if you make it layered, right? So I might take my cedar as a base. Can you see this okay? So I'm gonna take my cedar as a base. I'm gonna lay all the branches in the same direction. And then if I did my homework like Lauren told you to and went and got magnolia and holly and ivy, you can layer it, or sticking with just what you have because you already have it. You're gonna do the cedar, you're gonna make it nice and full. Again, filling in those gaps. So we're still laying everything in the same direction. No rhyme or reason really, other than having all of the stems together at the top, like this. So then I'm gonna hold this up, see how thick I want it, make sure there's not too many gaps. This isn't as formal as a wreath, I would say. It's not as particular. It's gonna be on the back side of a door, so it really won't matter quite as much. I might add just a little bit more. All right, so now that we have that, we will go ahead and just wire that together. So take your bunch, go down just a little bit, leave some room at the top, and take these ties and pull them very, very, very taut. Can you see my hands okay? And then bread tie twist. Bread tie twist always, 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 always. Then, I should have said, make sure that you cut a long enough piece that you can do enough bread tie twists, and then you can take the tails. Let me show you with my hands off. So I'm going to take the tails, I'm going to cross them in an X, and this is the only thing that you don't have to bread tie twist. This is going to be your hanger. Oops. Sorry, I'm kind of used to having the gloves, my little baby hands. So I'm just wrapping the wire onto itself just because we're making a hanger. It's the only exception to the bread tie twist rule. Easy enough. Okay, and then we're gonna take, I'm gonna put these back on. We can take a few extra branches. So I'm going to flip this over. I'm going to take these branches. I'm going to go from the top down into my swag. And I'm going to do that just enough to cover up those top branches a little bit. You don't want to do as much as the bottom part because we're not really looking for thickness. We just want to make it look like we didn't just tie a whole bunch of greenery together. So same thing. Take your wire. All of those branches should be right about at the same kind of point intersecting. So we're going to make a little bit of a triangle. I'll flip it over. And bread tie twist. You can also make your hanger back here. So I'll do that again. Make an X and then twist it upon itself. The beautiful thing about paddle wire is you don't have to cut the excess off. Just tuck the tails in and be done with it. It is green. It blends in. Okay. So here you have a swag. Depending on where you're going to hang it, I now have a hanger on both sides. So let's say I'm going to hang it on this, what I'll call the back side. So anywhere that I see that maybe spars, I can easily come in, like I don't necessarily want that to be showing, so I can prune that right off. Now it looks a little more natural. I can also, because it's wired in, I can take some extra branches, and just like our wreaths that already have a nice base, I can just shove that in there. I don't really actually have to wire it because I've already got like kind of a secure top. So I've showed you 2 examples of that. And then from here, what we would do is I would go from this area down, and I would take my pine cone, and I would take my orange slices like this, right? I would do some dried apples, some pears, and you can easily, if you feel like this is maybe coming off your door a little bit, as you are wiring in your apples, let's say, you can have those long tails to where you can kind of tuck your branches and lay them down the way that you want. You can make it lay the way that you want, but you kind of always want to start from here down because this is really your swag. This is kind of more of just the top part. Let's say this is too long for you. Okay, snip it off. No biggie. Now it's more of a designated swag. It's really quite easy. So swags are super simple. They're really fun. It's just enough to kind of adorn a door or a window. Again, an easy gift. And this was just scraps.
Would you place a red ribbon around kind of the neck part?
Yeah, absolutely.
Would that be witness have it trail down if you had ribbon?
We can do that. You can put your red ribbon right up here, and you would tie it just like I showed you earlier. I'm just running through this because it's just a little extra bonus. Obviously, I'd probably have it trailing long and then kind of strategically place my pretty dried ingredients throughout and tame things down as I want. And that's how we can do a swag. That also reminds me, I did not talk about how to make the wreath more refined. So, hopefully you got the gist of the swag. It's a little extra bonus, but if you have questions about it, just message me. I am on Instagram and Facebook at Brownings Flower Truck. I'm also on Gmail or email, browningsflowertruck@gmail, and I have a website, browningsflowertruck.com. I am very accessible. So, if you don't mind to show this wreath, what I'm gonna do, actually I probably need to take my gloves off for this. If I want to make this wreath more refined, I always make mine this style. If you want it to be even bigger, you just continue adding branches, and these wreaths can get massive. If you want to go to Michael's and get a 24-inch wreath form, it's going to be huge, and you can hang it on the front of your house. Some people will do that, like, up on the gables. I don't know, like, but yeah. But if you would like something to look a little thicker, less ethereal, the only thing you have to do, take your wire, cut it. We're going to do the same kind of bread tie twist. I'm going to take these long, airy branches, and I'm going to pull them down, and I'm going to clump them together. I'm going to make sure that I'm kind of grabbing a branch that's a little more secure from down below. So for me, that would be this guy. And I'm going to wrap my wire around. I will bread tie twist it a little more loosely. Tuck the tails, okay? And if you're concerned about how that looks, that's totally okay. What you would want to do is actually do all of your wreath, like I would just continue going all the way around, and you can see that that's ultimately what it's going to look like, a little more refined, little more fluffy. And then when you're done, so you can see these green, do you want me to bring this closer to the camera?
You can see it.
Where you can see the wire? You can see it? Oh, bring it closer, okay. Okay, so the trick with this is, wherever you can see the wire, you can see it now, all you're gonna do is just pull out and fluff around it. Just fluff. So you just use these little itty bitty branches and you just fluff, and then you won't be able to see the wire. And that's it, that's all there is to it. Good. I really hope that you've enjoyed our very first ever DIY, our first ever professional YouTube video with the help of editing of Kale Bacon. Follow him for dirt bike riding. And I'm so happy. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for showing me how to do
helping.
This.
Yeah. Here, come here.
It was a blast. Let me get
Thank you so much for helping me.
My wonderful artist neighbor.
Yes, the bacon family is tremendous, and I hope that you truly enjoyed crafting with us. I hope one day you'll be able to do an in-person workshop with us. And with that, a heartfelt happy holidays from Drew and I.
Merry Christmas.